William Morrow and HarperAudio present The Queen's Faithful Companion, a novel of Queen Elizabeth II and her beloved corgi, Susan, by Eliza Knight. Performed by Nicola Barber, Anne-Marie Piazza and Morag Sims. To my beloved faithful companions, Lady Belle and Merida, the sweetest loves, the quirkiest personalities, who inspired me to write a story about the love between a dog and her best friend. Part 1. The Princess.
Prologue. Princess Lilibet. Late December 1939. There comes a time in every princess's life when she must set aside the nuances of childhood and pre-existing ideals, because the reality of her future is most formidably laid at her feet. Although she didn't realize it at the time, for 13-year-old Princess Lilibet, first in line to the throne after her father, King George VI, that moment came in the fall of 1939, when her country, a land over which she would someday reign, declared war against Germany. It was also at this time that Lilibet's sense of betrayal by a formerly most favoured uncle was solidified, because how could he have placed such a great burden on her father? Lilibet thrilled at the sounds of London as she exited Buckingham Palace. Just beyond the massive gates, car horns blared in the morning traffic, and people who'd gathered to watch the royal family cheered. Dookie, her favourite of the family dogs, a Corgi, stopped short on the leash she held, one short front paw lifted as he stiffened, ears perked. She glanced toward the wrought iron gates, the marching King's Guard in their red and black uniforms, hats as tall as her sister, Margaret, whom they called Margot. For as long as she could remember, the people of London had been enamoured of her, always wanting to take her picture. Lilibet was happy to oblige, waving to the growing crowd as flashes from the cameras blinked at her from between the faces. "Come along, Lilibet, Margot," their governess Crawfie urged. Lilibet turned and watched as Margot led their other corgi, Jane, into the waiting automobile. "Come on, Dookie." The corgi glanced up at Lilibet, mouth open in almost a smile. He took one last glance at the throngs beyond the iron bars, and then trotted toward the car with Lilibet racing after him. For more months than she cared to count, Lilibet and her younger sister had been sequestered in Balmoral, Scotland, separated from their parents, who'd remained in London. Everyone said it was for their own safety. Most of the children in the city had been sent to the country, and her parents didn't want them to be the exception, even though Lilibet made the argument they were safe behind the walls of Buckingham Palace. To keep the two of them busy and feeling as though they were contributing to the war efforts, Crawfie arranged for the princesses to sew with some of the women in the nearby village. Lilibet didn't particularly like sewing, but she did like being a part of the group. Now, as she clambered into the black Lanchester limousine, sitting beside her sister, opposite their smiling mother, Lilibet was glad for a chance to be on holiday, reunited with her parents again. They were us four, and us four wasn't a thing if it was only us two. Dookie hopped up on the seat beside her, his tiny claws clicking against the window as he pushed himself up on his hind legs to stare out. Jane joined him, their little fluffy bottoms wiggling with excitement. Lilibet had never been more excited about the prospect of a holiday with their parents. But she was nervous as well, because on this holiday there was already the anticipation of an ending, of a moment when the pleasure would be yanked away and the family would be separated once.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?